Well, thanks for coming. End of the day. I know it's been a long couple of days, so we're real excited. My name is Stephanie Morris. I am the online training and event delivery manager for Intuit. Intuit is they're a leading provider of business and financial management software, and I manage the delivery of our customer training, which is a critical component of our business strategy. And the reason for that is really because I'm sure you guys can relate. When you know how to use a product, you use it more, and then you have a tendency to recommend it as well. So that's one way that we work to grow our customer base. So to get started on this little case study, I wanted to kind of go through the history of how we got to where we are today. So prior to 2008, Intuit Academy, which is the training organization at Intuit, in the accounting professionals division, we primarily did face-to-face physical classroom training, very traditional linear style. And then we started noticing that there was a trend with our attendee counts. And this was per class. We started seeing fewer people coming to our classes. It wasn't significant, but we did start seeing more people going to our online classes, which at the time were really secondary considerations, kind of like all of our physical classes filled up, so we're going to do a webinar for those of you who weren't able to attend. So we came up with this hypothesis that people are actually, they want to learn online. It was like there's a shift in the fundamental way people are choosing to learn. So we wanted to grow our online delivery platform. So in 2009, we created this end-to-end e-learning experience. We had live webinars, virtual conferences. We included social media, podcasts, things like that. And we started seeing that there was a growth in this channel. And you can see from 2008 to 2010, pretty clear trend in the change of behavior for our customer base. So this was very exciting for us. Between 2008 and 2010, we actually grew our e-learning channel by 350%, which was kind of phenomenal to me every time I think about it. And it was really exciting also because we have this clear goal in our organization to increase confident use. And it makes sense. We're a software company. Why wouldn't you want to learn about your software on a computer in a format that uses your computer? So we really started to reassess our delivery of all of our content. So one of the first things that we did was we had to review the essential components of a successful learning experience. We're a bunch of trainers. We already kind of know that. But the first thing we did is we reassessed our audience. We looked at their needs and what they need to be successful. And then we matched up those needs with the core objectives that they needed in order to learn. This is something fundamental. Trainers do it all the time. The next step was actually syncing up those objectives with the resources and tools that we had available. And that would mean changing the way that we deliver. When we did this, we also had to take in consideration how we traditionally trained was in the synchronous format where everybody's in the classroom, we learn the same thing at the same time, and it's very linear. In the virtual space, it doesn't work, because when you're in a classroom like this, you guys are a fairly captive audience. The virtual audience, however, a little bit different. They have time and space barriers they don't have those barriers that you guys have. You have to be here at a certain time to participate. They can review the Twitter feed later. So that's something that we had to take into consideration when developing our content. So one of the things we wanted to do is we really wanted to create this rich learning experience, and we were able to do it with a virtual conference environment. And you do this in a lot of different ways. Again, kind of recapping what our goals were, increasing the confident use of our products with our customers, but then we also wanted to grow our customer base. This was really interesting. So our division has so many customers. Our team only has this many customers. So we really wanted to get more of our existing customers in the training channel and services confident use. Then additionally, we wanted to either maintain or reduce our spend, and we wanted to have an overall positive outcome for the overall training experience. So what we did is we knew already that our content was at a certain level. We already knew that it increased our confident use with our customers, so we wanted to reuse it. So we wanted to repurpose it, and this was when we started matching up those core objectives to the products and the tools that we had available to us. Then we also used peer experts to teach all of the content, very similar to how we have here with the live Q&A. And we did this all in the virtual environment. The piece that we did that was kind of a step further is we took networking opportunities as actually parts of the curriculum, so to speak. So we built in time after classes in the networking lounge or in the booths for our customers to engage with each other, with our subject matter experts, with even our employees. And it was really exciting because they created their own content, so to speak. It was like choose your own adventure. As they were engaged in the conversation changed. It wasn't necessarily about our product or our training, but it was information that was relevant to them. The more relevant it was, the more engaged they were, the more discussion, et cetera, et cetera. And so actually the base of knowledge expanded very significantly, and it was a really enjoyable experience, even for myself, just like watching the conversation, because I don't particularly know much about QuickBooks specifically. So this was a really big learning when we did our very first one. So in the end, we have done since January of 2009 to December of 2010, 6 virtual conferences. And I don't even know how many webinars we do. We do tons of webinars, and we have all these different virtual components that are tied together to create this integrated and robust learning experience. And what we found was, and particularly with the virtual conference and virtual environment, is our prep time was down about 80%, which is pretty big in a training organization, limited resources, limited time. Our attendance for our events, when this would be like physical live versus the virtual, was up 57%, and that was in 2009. Since then, it has grown as well. And then last year, in 2010, we just wanted to see how much these virtual learning experiences impacted the virtual training in general. And so what we did is we compared our webinar attendance versus these virtual conferences, which happen much less frequently. And we actually have 31% more people coming into our virtual environments. This is exciting because it's growing that customer base, getting them in through that channel, getting them the confident use. And then we were able to reduce our spend per participant, 92% overall, but it was the cost was only about 3% per participant when you compared it to a physical face-to-face. So in the end, the entire kind of evolution of our program, we have been able to increase confident use, increase satisfaction, maintain the quality of our content, and provide more valuable and relevant information to our customer base, which is very, very exciting. So that's my portion. If you have any questions, I know I ran through that pretty quickly, please feel free to email me, find me on Twitter, whichever. But now I'm going to pass it over to Mike. Oh, there you go.
Okay. Go ahead. All right. Thank you again from myself for attending, and hope you all have enjoyed the conference. Our journey at Pentair is a little bit different because we're really just starting our journey into the virtual world. But I'd like to give you an idea of where we come from, what we do, and what we're expecting. A little bit of background about Pentair is Pentair as an organization is a global, very diversified company serving commercial and industrial markets. We're a group of manufacturing companies is what we do. We've got 2 basic segments. One's in water and one's in technical products, which are basically electronic enclosures and protect electrical equipment. I'm in the water division and work for the pool and spa business unit. What we do is we manufacture pool equipment and spa equipment. So pumps, filters, heaters, you can kind of see the things we do along the left-hand side. But I think what I want to point out is who our customers are to give you a little bit of an idea of our challenges that represent us in the training area. We are the manufacturer at the top there, and we sell basically through a wholesale distribution channel who then sells to builders, dealers, and service people, and they in turn then sell to the consumer. Now, our focus really in our marketing and our training efforts lie in the yellow group of boxes there, the builders, the dealers, and the service people, because they're the people that actually make the buying decisions, install the product, and repair the product. So our training is very technical in nature. Without them understanding how to service the product, how the product works, we've run into a very difficult time as far as being able to sell product. Because really, in our industry, the decision making is made at that level. So that's where we focus our efforts in marketing as well as training. Now, some of the things that we've in the last few years that have really changed the environment for us and made the training environment very difficult is we've had a exponential growth, an explosion of innovative, technically complex products. Intelligent pumps that monitor energy to reduce costs, automation systems, computer controls basically to control all the aspects of the swimming pool, energy efficient heating systems, and LED lighting. So all of this, we've a little outpaced our market, so to speak, with technology, and so consequently it's put a great burden on us in the training area. Let me tell you a little bit about what we do for training and where we're headed. Our traditional training is brick and mortar. We do 70 to 85 workshops per year around the major markets in the United States. And in those workshops, in total we educate 3,000 to 4,000 technicians a year. We employ 5 trainers. And consequently, the venues that we have to rent, the travel for the trainers, the shipment of equipment is all very costly to us. We approach it as an education of our consumer and a cost of doing business, so it's not a profit center for us. It's basically a pretty large cost center. Now, 3,000 to 4,000 technicians a year. Give you an idea, there in our dealer base, our database, we've got about 14,000 dealers and 1,000 distributors. Each of those may have 1 to 10 employees, so I'm going to be conservative and say there's at least 50,000 people out there that need to know, and we're only reaching 3,000 per year at our training workshops. Consequently, every year our products change, so each year we have new things to train on. So it's not like after 10 years we're going to hit 50,000 people, plus employee turnover. So we needed to find a way to educate the masses. We also realize that our training workshops that we do in person that don't have the ability sometimes to send all the people in a business because they've got to keep their business running. And depending on the time of year, they may or may not be busy with their own work and able to send people to train. So what we're doing is developing virtual training. We are using our existing trainers to produce the content in the off-season, because we have a very seasonal business. Our training period is from September through March, and then we stop, because our customers are extremely busy the rest. So we've got an off-season for our trainers, so we've got the ability to produce content. And then the other advantage that we're looking at is website maintenance, as obviously the cost is low for that. We are not going to eliminate our technical workshops, because we think that hands-on experience has some value. But our virtual training is going to be a totally on-demand training. So a little bit different. Our content is very technical in nature. To give you an idea, that page that we saw where there were 20 product lines on there, there's probably 10 products beneath each product line that need to be trained on. So we're going to produce a series of videos, anywhere from overview videos and complete hydraulic videos that may be 30 minutes in nature, down to specific 3-minute videos of how to repair a specific item. And what we're expecting out of that, and the advantages to our customers, is if they know what they're going to be doing the next day. They know the repairs they're going to have to make. So the night before. If they maybe aren't quite as comfortable as they might be with a particular product, go online, go on our website, take a look at the video that has to do with repairing that specific product and that specific problem, maybe just a 3-minute video, the ability to download it to a smartphone, iPad, that type of thing that they can carry with them out in the field and literally stop and start the process of repairing the product. One other thing is, as we're developing this, we've got a third party helping us with the development. It's helped us with cost and time savings, and it's allowed us to work on the content. So that's been our biggest challenge at this point is really we have so much content to put out into the field that's been our biggest hurdle. Little bit of just kind of what that looks like. What we've got is this is one area that will be in the website, and that's the auditorium where people will actually view the videos. The rest of the website will have some other features such as owner's manuals, downloading literature, any type of technical information that we have. We'll house there and let people take the content, no charge to our users. But the auditorium is where the videos are housed, and so someone will come in, they'll scroll through a number of different categories and pinpoint down to just exactly what they need to train on, and then play the video, stop and start it, go back. We've got testing that's built in that will enable our dealers to have their people certified, or at least know they've gone through the class. And in fact, some of our products do need certification by different agencies, and our online material has been accepted by some of those agencies to do some of that too. So it's been it's the way we're headed to reach the rest of our audience, to reach tenfold, 20-fold over what we're reaching now, and we're excited about it. We're very, very excited. That is all I have. If anyone has any questions, again, but thank you for letting us share our experiences with you.
At this time, we don't have any questions from our virtual audience. Is there anyone here in the room that has a question they'd like to ask of either Stephanie or Mike? Don't all raise your hand at once.
So I have a question for you guys. How many of you are in training organizations? And do any of you manage training? One, maybe? Okay. So I'm wondering, because I thought it was really interesting, this is really, it's more like a virtual event conference, so it was really interesting to me they're branching out into this training piece, because there's like whole groups of people that's all they do is they talk about online training, what's the best practice, how long should you do it, how do you do assessments, what are the systems, how do the systems talk to other systems. So it gets very technical and very time consuming, and this is what I do full time all the time. So so I have a question. Have you taken online training? Have you been in a training environment, a virtual environment? No? Maybe one? Yeah. What was your experience like, too?
I taught in virtual reality in Second Life.
Oh.
I have an avatar.
Yeah.
And I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and together with a woman in Chicago, we presented an 8-hour program on preparing for your CMP.
Yeah.
And it was done totally in virtual reality, which was an enlightening experience and very, very exciting.
Yeah.
I've also taken webinars, and I'm presenting webinars. One of the reasons I came here is I'm trying to find exciting, stimulating ways of presenting webinars that will engage the audience. Oh. It's one thing for me to do it when I do presentations in a face-to-face environment. I'm very comfortable with that, and I can read individuals.
Right, like this.
But I'm envisioning them multitasking at their desks, and I don't know if you have had any positive experience in presenting webinars where you engage your audience.
That is great. That's the golden question. Everybody tries to figure that out. We do a few different things that into it. We assess really kind of engagement. Our customer base, they require continuing education. Your accountant, he has to go get certified every year. State board requires that he has all this education. So one of the ways we do it, we use engagement questions. So throughout the session, we ask questions, but then we also give like keywords and things like that then later on they have to provide back to us. So it's kind of like a manipulative little way of getting them to stay engaged because they have to have that word if they want credit. It's like carrot and stick. Another thing we use is we use a lot of the tools that are embedded inside of those systems. Like with WebEx, for example, you can raise hands, you can ask questions, you can do polling. So various things like that. Amazingly, people like to actually engage. People don't think so. You're like, oh, I'm just going to sit here. But if you ask me a question and you say, do you like dogs? Like, oh, my God, I'm all over that. Like, totally. And you can use stuff like that. So there are ways. So like in the classroom, it's a great point. In the classroom, you read off of everybody's cues. Like I can see if you're engaged, if you're not engaged, you're bored, you're like, I'm leaving. Online, I can't see that. So instead what I do is I kind of gauge based off the number of people in the class. When I ask these engagement questions, I start kind of modifying, try to change my content, tailor it to my audience. We recently did a Q&A. It was nothing but Q&A. We didn't prepare any content, and we let the audience entirely pick the topic. Like we said, it was about tax law changes, which I know you guys are all like riveted and on the edge of your seats about. But amazingly, there's like a whole profession out there that love tax law changes. And they had a lot of questions about it. And so we did a dedicated event just for them. We got 3 people that we thought that they would really enjoy. And then we had them ask questions. And the cool thing is they answer each other's questions. And that's really when you get that really strong engagement. So there's a lot of tools that you can use. Oh my gosh. Okay, so on average, I would say right now, we've had some phenomenally large webinars this season. So I'm a little hesitant because I'm waiting for that like fallout. But we've been having webinars from like 200 to 400 people, which is phenomenally large. Like it's very difficult to maintain that engagement with a full packed house. It's even easier with like 10 people. But that being said, they do feed off of one another. So one guy asks a question, then 3 other people have answers for him. One of the other things that we do is if you do it in small groups, actually moderate, let them be like the subject matter experts and just moderate the session. And it's amazing what they produce between each other. So letting them kind of control the content a little bit has been a best practice for us.
Do you use PowerPoint?
Oh, heavily. We use PowerPoint, we use product demonstration, we go out to the web. So that's the other thing. So in the online world, it's kind of got to be fast-paced. And I do feel for our virtual audience because they've got the still slide that, they're probably like, oh, great, awesome. Another still slide. But if you change it up, you switch between PowerPoint and something else, or maybe 2 different PowerPoints, use your visual aids, really try to get them engaged. Keep them stimulated, because remember, their body is sitting still the entire time, right? And they're not nodding like we're nodding, so it's a little different. So try to take in the best practices that you would take from like sitting in a classroom and putting it online a little faster. Yeah, that's no problem.
Do we have any other questions from the audience for either Stephanie or Mike?
So anybody who's taken online training, what was the thing that you liked the best about it? That you could multitask and nobody could tell? Because I have my ways, I'm just saying. No, nobody likes online training. That's why you're all here.
I feel like Donahue back in the early 80s right now.
I guess the part I like best is that I could work right up to the last minute.
Yes. You and I both.
Take the training and then get back to work. The office isn't accustomed to anybody doing that, though. So you've got to do something to alert everybody in the office that it looks like I'm sitting here doing nothing, but I really am doing something.
Yes.
And we joke about, inflating balloons and putting them up on strings or raising a flag or something that indicates I'm not to be bothered right now, because even though it appears that I'm just sitting here staring at a screen.
You know what? I
I'm
love
actually
the
doing
balloon
something.
idea. I
Yeah,
think I'm
we don't
going to
have a
take that
tank of
back to my
helium, though.
office.
But the reason I'm here and what it sounds to me like, though, is that I've a lot of years in the business, and I can remember leaving the office or leaving my place of business for a day because I was going on training. It was a big event. I was going on training. And now on the other side, where we've got somebody in our office who sells space to corporations on a short-term basis because they host regional training. What's been the change then? Are you moving towards it? Are you still going out in the field and needing the hotel meeting spaces at all, or what's the difference now?
Yeah, for us, we do both. We have we have a tour that we do. We call it a tour because it makes us feel fancy. We go around the country. We actually train people in classroom settings. We go to 15 to 25 different cities, depending on the year, depending on the content that we have and the demand. And then we add on. What we have found is we have seen a steady decline in the people that are coming to our physical events. To your point, if they have to leave the house, go through traffic, pay for parking, get out of the car, find the space, be there all morning, go grab lunch, come back, and it's a big pain in the butt, and then they're still driving home in rush hour traffic and they're not even on their normal route. That's horrible. And with an accounting professional, it's billable time. I mean, we just took 8 hours of money out of their pocket pretty much. They get on the virtual space, to your point, up to the very last minute, and then if business calls, they can still turn it off because we'll offer it again next week. So it really gives this opportunity, this flexibility in your kind of your work-life balance. You don't have to leave. There's not this cumbersome, I've got to go somewhere. And then, of course, the thing that I find is really interesting, it's this right for me mentality. This is kind of like an intuitism. Right for me, we use that a lot. And just in time. So I'm taking QuickBooks training. I've been using QuickBooks for 25 years. I don't need to go to a 4-hour class because I'm pretty good at using QuickBooks. But there's a new feature. I need to know that one feature because it apparently will save me time. So the virtual training and these kind of learning environments, they give them this opportunity that I can go and seek just that one piece of information. Kind of like what Mike's doing with his, the videos that they're producing. They've got these longer courses, but then they have these very specific classes that are for a very specific need. And that's really going to provide that really rich learning opportunity. And then tying that back with peer-to-peer engagement and social networking and things like that, you get this full environment. It's really impressive. So I think the shift is just the way that we work in general. I don't like having to get up and going across town to someplace that I don't know to go to a class. I would much rather take my 1 hour at lunch and learn something new, or get on YouTube and search for a video, or subscribe to a podcast series on iTunes, or there's a plethora of things out there, or get in a discussion board on LinkedIn. Those are always my favorite because there's a bunch of like-minded people that are equally nerdy about the online learning space. So wicked fun for any of you that are interested. Please join us. But yeah, so it's that. I think that's what the change is we don't want to leave anymore.
With us, I anticipate we are going to continue our field training, but it's going to change. And the reason I say we're going to continue is that's what our customers want at this point in time. So it's listening to your customer, understanding what they want, and what we've heard is they want to be able to train on their own time, yet they still want to be trained in person, but the training that they're getting in person, they've requested a little bit different type of training. Our technology workshops that we have held in the past have basically been a combination of PowerPoint, lecture, interaction with the audience, some actual physical product, but not a lot of hands-on, and that's what our customers are demanding of their field training. They want hands-on. So our training is going to remain in the field, but it's going to shift, and we'll shift to I believe at least at this point, we'll shift to a more hands-on where the workshops will probably be smaller. We may hold more of them, but the customer will be able to actually take the product apart, put it back together, have their wrenches, have their bolts, have their and spread it out across the table, and then put it back and really get a feel for it. So it should very well complement our online training, where they may get an overall view for the product, get an idea of what some of the problems might be, and then come to a workshop and actually take it apart and see that it really does work, and they actually know how to fix it. So I think we'll expand our audience and shift our brick and mortar workshops.
Do we have any other questions? And back of the room.
Yeah, you got to move up closer now.
It's my fault, sorry. You know, it just sounds to me that we're never going to replace, you know, those team building type training sessions where you've got to get the team in and they're going to do silly things like build elevators out of straws and stuff as part of it. You know, that we still have to have those, but we don't have to. The advantage of this is that if there's something specifically technical or, like you said, and I do the same thing. I download podcasts and then I listen to them as I'm walking home.
Yeah.
That's my morning training, or if I'm walking to work, that's my morning training. But it won't do away with those times we have to get the whole team together and do something that's a team building type exercise that may involve training in the middle of all that.
Well, I think that's a really good point too. The way the virtual, like the workforce is now, we're very separated. I don't know about you guys where you work, but I mean, you were talking about teaching a class with somebody like on the other side of the country almost. You know, and that's phenomenal that we live in a day and age where we can do this. I can be in a class with somebody in a different country, and have an engaging conversation. The team building stuff, you can get really creative in the online space with that. And we do cyber high fives. Like I invented it. I feel very proud of myself. We send pictures. We do like coffee breaks where I'll send somebody a picture of a coffee. I mean, totally ridiculous stuff. And we use the webcams a lot to get together in the virtual space so you can still make faces and read each other's. That's with a smaller group, and that's what my team does. But it's total, I mean, we have a lot of fun, total nonsense. We like create whole photo albums on a SharePoint of like, oh, it snowed in Dallas. What? Like, who cares about the snowman in my front yard? But my friends in Tucson do because it never snows in Tucson or something. I don't really know. It's desert, right? But yeah, there's a lot of that. The other thing that you said that I thought was really good was kind of this kind of it's a fundamental shift in just how we learn. Before, the idea of learning was you went to a classroom, this was my one shot, I'm going to learn now. Now learning, because I think technology has a lot to do with this, is continual. I have to learn every day to stay on, and it's not even staying on top of the trends, it's just to like keep in line with my Outlook updates. Are you serious? Some of the stuff Outlook does today, it just mind blows me. I'm like, what? It's great though, but I'm constantly looking, I'm constantly happy to. So it's creating this learner-centered culture, so to speak, where, you know, I hear on the news, oh, technology makes everybody dumb. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It just gives us an opportunity to learn faster and in these smaller pieces. So I might not be learning long division anymore because now I have a calculator. Somebody designed that calculator, and that guy knows how to do long division. Like, at the end of the day, we all have our skill sets. So I think it's important also that we take in consideration that you're coming in the office, you got your 5 minutes of knowledge listening to that podcast. That's awesome. I mean, that's great. I get my news from Wait, don't tell me. Don't tell anybody else. It's a secret. If y'all don't listen to that on NPR, it's excellent. You should. It's quite a bit of fun. But I think that it's very important that we take in consideration. We have a diverse workforce that's across huge distances. We have those time and space barriers. And then we have this continual need to learn just to be able to understand our own jobs. It's not anymore where I can go to a class once a year and have all the bits and pieces of knowledge that I need to do to function in my workplace.
Do we have any other questions for either Stephanie or Mike? If not, I'd like to thank Stephanie and Mike for a very interesting presentation. Thank you, those of you here in Las Vegas and those online virtually. Thank you for attending.
Thank you.